All right, so welcome back. So for today's class, we are talking vocabulary of movement. Why I kind of called it vocabulary of movement is because there's a strong parallel to be done with learning a new language. When you learn a new language, most of the times you have to learn the basic alphabet because not every language has the same alphabet. Then you got to bring those letters together to form words. You have simple words, you have more complex words, and then you have different words families, and then you have to group those words together so that they make sense into a sentence. And from there, again, you have simple sentences, you have more complex sentences, you have sentences with different subjects, different topics, which can range from health, politics, science, finance, like name it. There's a specific vocabulary for each different environment. And then what's interesting is that once you have knowledge of the vocabulary of different fields, let's say, then you have to improvise, because in a conversation, when you're speaking to someone, you don't quite know what they are gonna say, except in the context that you have, like you are talking with someone on a specific topic, on a specific subject. Well, you kind of expect what's coming, but you don't really know the ideas of the person. So there's really a improvisational part, excuse my French, behind having a conversation with people. So this makes for a strong parallel to movement. In movement, we have simple movements, which kind of makes the same for the alphabet. From there, we complexify, we kind of put together chains of movements to have words. And then, again, layers of complexity to form sentences. So movement sentences, you can move from the ground, you can move standing, you can move jumping, you have to move in different environments, be it a gym, a yoga studio, I don't know, you're strolling around the park, you're hiking a mountain. There's different environments which call for different types of movements. There's the improvisation part in movement that will come from being adaptive to your environment. So how you adapt to novel things in your environment will be kind of guided by how well you integrated your more simpler vocabulary of movement. And on another topic, there's also improvisation of when you interact with someone. So from my experience, martial arts, playing sports, dance, they all call for improvisational capacities in, like, you don't know what to expect from the person in front of you. So you need to kind of have a solid trust in your abilities, which is why we take the time to acquire solid movement, to be confident in our capacity to be able to adapt ourselves to a changing environment. And this trust is really interesting because and I've seen that multiple times, when you start to get scared of something because you're not quite sure if you will be in control or if you know what to expect as far as movement goes, you have less access to muscle chains because you switch to different activation parts in your brain. Whenever you move away from prefrontal cortex activation, you have less precise movement capacity, you have less adaptive movement capacity because you're afraid. So the goal is really to build a strong foundation, build a strong confidence in the basic movement capacities, then building confidence in the more complex movement capacities, so that when you tackle different environments and even when you learn new movements, new things, let's say you want to learn a new sport, well, it will become infinitely easier for you because you will have acquired the experience and the confidence within your own movement, within your own body. So there won't be as much resistance to the process of learning a new thing. So the goal of today is vocabulary of movement. Obviously, there are many benefits to it. From a biomechanical standpoint, when, let's say, you have a human body, the circulatory system has a pump. So the heart will bring blood to different parts of the body. If we take, for example, joints, you have a joint, there's a capsule kind of encapsulating the joint. Within the capsule, there's synovial fluid. And this fluid is put in motion through motion. Like, I really like the expression in English, like motion is lotion, because that's really what it is. When you move a specific joint, you're going to move the synovial fluid within it. So it will bring nourishment to this joint, it will bring hydration, and it will help for long-term health. So moving the joints in many different ways, many different orientations is going to be highly beneficial for that. On a second point, as far as benefits go, we have the whole lymphatic system. The lymphatic system kind of runs in parallel to the circulatory system, but there's no pump for the lymph. So again, we have to go through movement. Like, different types of movement will create different types of mobilization of body fluids, which is highly beneficial for general health and also for specific conditions. So these are things that kind of why we want to go through these movements. And also, when I'm looking at what's coming up too, like in this series, I'm right now at this point, I have 5 modules that we will cover, and the different modules kind of resembles like the progression of the vocabulary of movement. So we're gonna go into, today is gonna be more the basic understanding of movement and the basic vocabulary, the basic kind of alphabet of movement. But then when we go into more creating tension within this movement, so we get into different environment, different positions that necessitates more control, more tension of different joints, how you couple different chains within the body. But that all comes from the complexity that we are going to build through the different modules. And we are going to use tools eventually. We're going to go into improvisation too, working with partners. So this will all going to be kind of a progressive series to take you from one point to the other in a kind of a structured, logical manner, if I can say, because movement is very, very complex, but still, we're trying to make sense of it. So trying to establish this basic structure is going to be, is going to allow us to really progress with confidence from one point to the other, so that we can then perform better in whatever sport, whatever environment we choose to perform. So with that being said, I'm going to see you in the next video to start working on the principles that are going to guide our practice for today. So see you in the next video.